to another Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. And trying not to get too far afield, I have added horror or Cthulhu or mythos of that nature to Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday as well. And today I have a special treat. This is a big box, so this might be a little bit of a longer unboxing, but this is kind of a special treat. This is a Kickstarter edition of a game. I did not Kickstart it. I picked it up after the fact, but it's just being kind of released now. But it's something I've been on the fence, and so I skipped the Kickstarter, but decided to pick it up because it's based on one of my favorite solo games of all time. Now, not my favorite war game solo game or solo war game. I probably need to do a list on that sometime, but generally my just favorite solo game of all time, and that is Hostage Negotiator. Now, this is Crime Wave that has all the stuff in it for Hostage Negotiator, but Hostage Negotiator is a solo game where you are just that. You are a hostage negotiator, and it's themed very tightly in that you're basically, it's kind of a deck builder. You're collecting cards or buying cards with time in order to negotiate with different types of criminals. You know, either they're all hostage takers of some sort. Sometimes they're, you know, not so bad people, but they're in a bad situation, or they're, you know, crazy, or they're terrorists, or there's a whole variety, and there's a whole bunch of options to it. But it's kind of a deck builder, and the decks the cards are conversation cards. So you're playing conversation cards to, you know, try to bring the hostage taker, try to, you know, relax them, or try to calm them, or try to get them to where the threat level goes down, so they're not, you know, taking out hostages. I mean, it's kind of a very, you know, stark and somewhat realistic theme at times, but it is, you know, I guess, but I would say it's a tight theme because, I mean, these cards you're playing, you have to use time to, it's kind of the currency to acquire them and then play them, and you're making decisions to play them, and it's dice based. So if you don't like dice, then you're probably not going to like Hostage Negotiator, and you're probably not going to like the game that I'm going to unbox here today. But it's you're playing these cards, and these cards have different success levels, and in order to get a better success, you have to roll a right result on the dice, and they're custom dice. It's not a, you know, 1 through 6. There are certain stars and other cards that are on there. So, but as I said, it's a unique theme. I like unique themes. It's a very tense solo play. It's got a lot of variety because there's a lot of different hostage situations that you can play out. I think there's, I don't know, 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever that you can go up to. There might even be more than that. There's just a lot of different expansions and different solo packs that you can get and play out different scenarios. And you can be different negotiators as well that have special abilities. And sometimes there's different conversation cards that come into play depending upon what the situation is. So a lot of variety. As I said, if you don't like the theme, or if you don't like dice, you're probably not going to like this. But I do. My father, for a long time, I mean, his pretty much chosen career was a police officer, and he was a homicide detective for most of that time. So, you know, police work and, you know, this kind of, you know, crime situation is always kind of, you know, fascinated me or hit kind of close to home. So, never really did much hostage negotiating because he was, as I said, as a homicide detective, he kind of got there after the fact. So anyway, this game I'm getting ready to open is based on this. It's based on this system. Now, they've changed the system. You know, it's different themed. The cards are used in a different way. They're not conversation cards, but, you know, buying cards with the use of time and rolling for successes based on the different types of cards is consistent with the game I'm going to get to. So if you don't know by now, if you follow Hostage Negotiator or Ryder Games, you probably know what game I'm talking about, and that is Final Girl. So let's look inside this box here. This was one of the Kickstarter, I think, all-in type things. And as I said, I passed on it the first time around because I was like, man, there's a lot of stuff, and I'm such a completionist. I don't want to necessarily get all this stuff and didn't want to wait for it to deliver on Kickstarter. So finally, when it did come available, I searched around and found I thought was a decent deal for it, and picked it all up. So what you get in this box is not the standard set. I'll probably talk about what you get if you want to buy it separately, but this is kind of the all-in type stuff. So looking at the box, there's some minis in here. Again, this doesn't come with the base game, but there are the minis for the Final Girls and the serial killers. This Final Girl is a slasher. It's a horror movie, much like any of the Jason movies or Halloween or any B or C budget type horror film where you have somebody running around trying to take everybody out in a horrific manner. And the Final Girl, I guess you might look at Chainsaw Massacre was probably one of the first Final Girls, right? Because spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Chainsaw Massacre, come on. But there was a Final Girl. That's the one person that survived. In this game, you're going to play a Final Girl. There's several different varieties, just like there's different negotiators. In Hostage Negotiator, you can play a different Final Girl, and it has some of the same basic core mechanics of Hostage Negotiator, but they're doing it in a whole different way. It's totally rethemed, and you're going up against different type of villains and in different settings. There's a lot of different variety there as well, and you can mix and match. You can put different villains in different settings and play out that way. So here are the minis that come with it. Otherwise, you use meeples. One of the things that is different from the in Final Girl that's from Hostage Negotiator, you're just dealing with kind of the terror track and the terrorist or the hostage taker and the conversation cards, and you're not really dealing with a space or a terrain or an environment other than what's on the cards. Now, some of the different terrorists or the hostage takers, there's like one of them that involves a bus. There's another one that involves like a lake area where you're trying to search for some kids, but they really don't have a map in them. This game is different. Each of the different scenarios have locations, and you can mix and match those locations where you're moving around on the map with your meeples, or if you get minis, you move around with these minis, and you have the big baddie in there. So a little bit difference in that the minis actually can serve some of a purpose because you're marking a place where you're moving on the map. So you get some minis here. You can get the minis that doesn't come in the base game. You can have to get those separately, but this is the Series 1 minis. There's a Series 2 that's coming out that has all new content to it as well, if you're interested with that. This Terror from Above is it's a vignette expansion for Final Girl. This is like a separate expansion that just has some unique cards for it. As you can tell from Terror from Above, this is going to be maybe based on Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, I'm guessing, where you're going to have like a bird attacking you from the sky, so to speak. So again, this game plays homage, whatever you want to call it, to a lot of the different, terror or horror type films. Just like Hostage Negotiator, think of any hostage negotiation film like The Negotiator or God, I can't come to name right now, but there's several different hostage negotiation scenes. They have scenarios that play that out. Just this is going to, if you look into a lot of these different bad guys in this or locations, are going to look like, Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a camp, of course, like there is in Friday the 13th, and there's a, not a Elm Street, but like a Maple Street, like Nightmare on Elm Street. And there's a Freddy Krueger kind of character. So as I said, they're going to pull a lot from the genre in this. You've got the Paula card. This is a special card that you can get. This is an example of a Final Girl. Paula is has a board game channel. I don't know if you've watched her. If you follow my channel, you're probably following war games mostly, so you probably don't follow this stuff. But she's got her own board game channel that's pretty interesting to follow, just general board game hobby. But this is an example of a final girl. So you've got a little bit about what her special ability is. The way you unlock her special abilities is that, and like with the other final girls, is once you get so many rescue so many people, you get people that are on the board, innocent bystanders, to escape and get away from the big bad guy before he kills them. And by doing that, let's pull this out here so we can see this a little bit. By doing that, when you get 5 of them rescued and off the board, you put them on here, and then you get special abilities every time you do one of those 5. And then once you do the 5, you turn this over, and she has a permanent special ability. And each of the final girls are going to be like that as well. So again, that's an example of kind of the unique play there. This lore and scenario is a separate purchase for the game. And this is just going to give you just that, some lore and scenario. So it's going to talk about, like, there's Hans the Butcher. That's one of the big bad guys that you're going to, you have to go up against. And he's Camp Happy Trail. So you get a little bit of Jason going on here, right? In a mask, and he's terrorizing a camp, and it talks a little bit about him and some of his special cards and stuff. And this is just some of the additional lore that goes on here. There's Poltergeist in Creech Manor. That's there's the Poltergeist is a baddie, and Creech Manor is a location. And again, you can mix and match. You can put Hans in Creech Manor or the Poltergeist in the Happy Trails. So this isn't an essential to the game, but if you just want to learn a little bit more about some of the strategies or the different bad guys and the different locations and talk about that, then you can get this. And like, there's Dr. Fright. I mean, can you guess who that guy is about? Dr. Fright on Maple Lane. So it's kind of your Freddy Krueger character. Again, there's basically all the genre is represented here in different manners. So that's the lore book and lore and scenario book that might add a little bit different gameplay or information to the game as well. This is the bonus material. This was only was available in the Kickstarter, or you can buy it, I guess, off the Van Ryder site. What this is, there's like a Nomonomicon. God, I butcher everything, don't I? Book of the Dead kind of thing in here, plastic thing that has 2 dice. And what that does is, by rolling those dice, you can generate different scenarios. One dice is tied to the different baddies that you can face. The other is tied to the different locations. I'm ruining this for you, right? This is danger. You're not supposed to look in this, but hey, I know. I already looked ahead. I read ahead, right? Just like you do with any horror novel. So you can roll that and do a random setup. So you roll those 2 dice, and you can get a different bad guy in a different setting, and then put those 2 together. And so it adds a little bit of random play to your game. So after you played it a few times, you go, I just want to see what I'm going to play tonight, right? And you can roll this dice and do that. And it's a nice plastic book thing that opens up into the dice. So I'm not a painter of minis, but this looks like it's begs to be painted. We might get to that here in a second. This is the big box. We'll get to that in a second. Here are the gruesome deaths. This was something if I would have bought out of the Kickstarter, I probably wouldn't have got, but since it was kind of included in this big package, I said, what the heck, let's get it. But this is basically just more, background content. That it's the gruesome deaths for the Sacred Grove, and it's just talking a little bit about, kind of what happened in that, going on there. Just it's a little bit more narrative stuff. So, if you're a big fan of this or become a big fan of this stuff, then this is just extra reading material, so to speak, in there. So, kind of interesting there on that. I haven't read too much on this. This was not something I was that interested in, but it came with this kind of all-in pledge. So you got the Carnival of Blood, the Camp Happy Trails, the Creech Manor, Maple Lane, and Sacred Grove. So those are the different locations. And so there are quite a few books in there on that. What else do we got in here? Are we ready to open up the big box? This is the big box. So this is something that, let's get this out of the way here. This is something that does not come standard. You get this separate. This is the storage box, and me being the completionist that I am, I had to get the storage box to come along with this. So this holds everything. There's places to put that in here. There's places to put the minis. There's places to put these books. There's even a place. Now this is supposed to be the same size as these books, but I think in the original print run they made this a little bigger. But there's even a place to put that in here. There's a place to put that in here, I believe. And of course that one's is not going to be too hard to find a spot for that. So all this goes in here in this storage box, and we'll get in there to take a look at that. But this is series 1. So here's all your different final girls, and here's all your different, baddies that you can face here. Let's see here, and as I said, it's 1 player. This is only solo. 20 to 60 minutes, age 14 plus. I mean, the content here, the themes are, a little gruesome. I mean, it's a horror movie, right? So you've got Hans, Poltergeist, Incanyaba, Geppetto, Dr. Fright, and Terror from Above. And then you've got Camp Happy Trails, Creech Manor, Sacred Grove, Carnival Blood, and Maple Lane. And you can mix and match. So there's a lot of game replayability there. You can say this is a big, thick box here. And here's what you get in the box. So each one of these different bad guys and a setting come together, and they come in their own little storage box that slides into here. And it has everything you need to play that game. So when I say that for that unique scenario, all the games require this core box. So if you buy this separately, you can buy like the core box. You can buy any one of these separate scenario kind of sets that will have a one bad guy and one location, but you're going to need the core box. So the core box has the basic, cards that you need, and it's not unlike Hostage Negotiator, which is, conversation cards, and you're trying to talk down the negotiator. This is like action cards. So you're going to be moving, you're going to be running, you're going to be searching locations to try to find weapons or stuff to go against the bad guys, or vehicles to try to move around quicker, or to try to escort some of the people of the camp or the city or houses and try to get them out of town. One of them is it's a neighborhood, and you need to. It has a special action card of convincing or something. You have to go convince people to let you in their house, because there's a madman on the loose and they're killing people. So why would you let somebody in your house? So you got to play this action card and try to get a success to say, hey, can I come in your house? And then you try to usher them out, because you can take, I think, up to 2 people with you when you move around any of the boards, and you're trying to move them to like a green zone, where those are like exit zones for that map or location. So all the stuff you need to play that game is in the core box, the basic set, but it doesn't have any of the scenarios. So you need to buy a core box and at least one of these to play the game. So you need to have 2 things to play the game. You can't play these by themselves, and you can't play that. This doesn't have any scenarios. So you need one of this and one of these to play the game, and that's all you need to play the basic game. You can buy one of this and one of this, and you've got yourself a game. You're only going to have one baddie in one location, but there's quite a bit of replayability there, right? If you want the whole thing like me, then you're going to have to buy more. And if you get all that, where are you going to put it? Well, that's why you need the storage box. So what's included in this box is the Final Girl core box, which is which you need to play the game. It's got all the feature films that come in Series 1, which are Happy Trails Horror, The Haunting of Creech Manor, Slaughter in the Groves, Carnage at the Carnival, and Frightmare on Maple Lane. God, what does that sound like? It's just on the tip of my tongue. You also have, there's some other storage boxes that go in here, like the cast and crew box. That's not pictured. The bonus feature box that's not pictured. The cast and crew box is basically one of the primary storage box for the minis. And so there's this place to put all the different minis in there. The bonus feature box, I think, holds some of these sacred, these gruesome death books, I think, will go in there. And one of those holds like the Terror from the Above that goes in there. You also, this is optional miniatures. You have to get those separate. This also holds the, it should hold the mats. It does have maps. So let's see, there's a vehicle pack you can get. There's the gruesome death books. There's bird miniatures, which I don't think comes in this all in. And there's a vehicle pack that I don't think comes with in here. But as I said, some of this other stuff I was able to get. Now, this should come with the mats, and there's a place to put that in here, and we'll take a look once we get in there. So with all that, my God, I know this is going over and taking a long time, but I told you this was going to be a big one, so I need to get a knife. It is a horror film, right? So let's move some of this stuff out of the way here. And let's get inside this box here and see what we have. Oh my goodness, this is big. Ooh, and you got this right here. This shows you how you can how you put everything back together. So as you can see here, you got the core box, you got each of the feature films, and then you have those two extra kind of storage boxes in here. And this shows you how to put that up. The mat should be in here. And if you look at that, that looks like a 80s, early 90s VCR, right? Because that's where we watched most, well, I'm dating myself, but that's where you watched most of these films, was on a VCR, right? So you got a VCR that's all kind of bloodied up and scuffed, and the mats go in here, and on all these other films are stored in here nicely, and that's kind of how they're stored in the storage box here. So let's get this open here. And as I said, I mean, I don't have a lot of shelf space, and this is a pretty big box, so it's going to take up a lot of space. But, you know, the thought of having all these separate, I don't know, it just didn't appeal to me. So to me, the only way to do this was to get the storage box that had everything in it. So you get this nice big box there, big thick box there. And then here are all, let's put this like this. Man, that's huge. But this is all the different games. As I said, if you get one core, you need to have a core box to play, and then any one of these 5 movies or feature films, then you can play the game. So let's start with this box here. It's a little bit tough to get out here. Oh, and these are the mats. So let's get in here. See, it's kind of bloodied up there. It's like a VCR. Looks kind of cool there. And again, I know this one's kind of going over, but there's so much to unpack here. And I just don't know if I'm going to do each one of these feature films individually, but I do want to show you a little bit what's in the box here. So this one, I might not want to move this stuff out of the way so you can see I'll do it like this, because maybe I can put the mat on top of that. But you're going to have the 2 mats in here. So the one thing about this, if you buy this storage box with everything, you don't have to buy like these mats separate. You don't have to buy each of the individual games separate. And that's a good size box there. And actually this doesn't fit in, well, it might fit in there. I don't know if it's going to fit in that box, but I think the longer version of this, you just put this in here. So everything can have its place to store. But let's take a look at one of these mats here. See how they open up. And so you got these 2 nice little game mats here to lay out your cards. So there you have it. Nice little neoprene mat there. You got your event deck there, your terror deck there, and that's something that's similar to Hostage Negotiator. There's kind of this terror deck that's kind of a timer. The bad stuff happens as you go through the terror deck, and it's kind of ramps up the activity. So you have a terror deck, and I think it's called a terror deck in Hostage Negotiator too. Imagine that. You have the active terror cards. So that's what's active there. You have your event deck. You have your victim pool. So, you want to try to save some people there. You have your items deck, and that's going to be different. Items might be at different locations depending on what the location board says. And so there's going to be different items that you're searching for, and some, of course, are better than others and something you might need. You have the killer board over here, and then you have minor dark power. So, and this is kind of similar in the hostage negotiation. There are like demands that a negotiator, that the hostage taker or terrorist or what have you wants, and you have to try to deal with those demands. Here you have like dark powers that the killer is going to have, and so you have to kind of deal with that over time. So as I said, it's a different game. It plays differently, but it has some similar core mechanics. So if you're familiar with Hostage Negotiator, this is going to be a piece of cake probably to pick up. Here's your other board, and this basically has the horror, I don't know if it's called the horror board, but there's a similar board like this in Hostage Negotiator where you're going to pay, this is how you pay for your cards, and this is like time elements here. And when you whatever you have left at the end of the round, like if you're at 5, then you're going to be able to buy up to 5 points worth of cards. And here are the cards. And there's always some zero cost cards, so you're never with nothing, most likely. You're going to have some zero cost cards that you can buy. And then there's other values of cards, and there's going to be different. There's some core cards that are in every game, and then there's some cards that are unique to the scenario, the location or the killer that only come out or only available in those scenarios. And so you're gonna keep track here of, I guess, the horror track here. If you ever, I think, if the killer ever goes crazy or gets up to here, in the terror track, he kills, in the hostage negotiator, he kills a hostage. Here, he might just kill a victim, or maybe he does damage to you or something like that. I don't know what happens in this, but it's bad. Let's just say that's bad. Here it's good because this is how many dice you get to roll. So if this track is on this area here, you only get to roll 1 die whenever you're trying to roll for a success on your cards. Here you get to roll 2 dice, and here's great because if you've got it all the way up in the green over here, then you get to roll 3 dice, and that helps because it gives you a better chance to get a success on your roll. And then 2 successes is like the best you can do, and so you keep track of your successes like a star. You keep track of that here. Here's where you put the final girl, and you have some life points and stuff. So here's items in your hand, items in your backpack, tokens and what have you. So these are nice, Matt, to kind of lay this out and keep track of everything you need to keep track of on the board. And you can play this. All this stuff is kind of like this track and stuff is in the core game box, but these mats just make it easier, nicer to play with, right? And to make it easier to play the game. That's what mats do. Let's get into one of these core box. This is the core box. Let's get in some of these boxes here so you can see what's in here. Gotta get my knife out again. So, I'm not, as I said, I have some background with Hostage Negotiator just from my dad's police work and being interested in that. I wasn't a big horror fan. I mean, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street. I went to the movie theater to see it when it came out. Again, that dates me. But I'm not like have to watch all the horror films and watch them when they come out. But I mean, I don't mind them. I like watching them sometimes. My kids are not big fans of it, even the ones that are old enough to probably watch these. So that's the reason why I was kind of hesitant on this. I'd like the mechanics and I like the solo play, and this one has so much replayability and different ways of playing than Hostage Negotiator that I thought I might as well pick it up. And the theme is, even though you can take the theme from one and put it on another, might say that it's kind of pasted on, I think they do a good job of adapting the theme again to the horror genre. And I'm interested enough in the horror genre that this is, I think, an interesting buy for me. So this is what, this is kind of an ad that goes for the core box here. What's nice about these, you got these little magnetic, they do that real nice. All these have like a little magnetic thing there. Here's a music collection. Look at that. So you get that there. Here's the rule book. So this is the entire rules for the game. There's your icon reference. Here's your turn summary. Here's a large index here. Even though this is 34 pages, the game's not that hard, right? The game, as you can see, there's a lot of illustrations, full color, a lot of examples there. So, don't let 35 pages scare you on how to play this game. Once you kind of get into it, Hostage Negotiator is really basic. The only thing that's complicated in Hostage Negotiator are the different, criminals that you're facing. Some of them have some somewhat complex rules. This one has some of that as well. Each of the locations are a little bit different and are going to have their special rules that are going to be in these boxes, and each of the killers are going to have their own special rules. But the basic rules are all, kind of the same here. And so there's the rules for it. Here is something, you see some of these. These are on those mats, but I think these are like holding stations for certain things. Here's some tokens here. These are your life tokens. You're going to have one of these, and the killer's going to have one of these, and this is like your last health. So when you get hit the last time, you'll flip this over, and this will give you, like, this one gives you one more life. So you're not dead yet, right? And that's always, kind of a cool thing here. But you might flip one of these overs, and it might not have anything on it. And like here, like you flip these over, nothing. So you're dead. This one, you get one more life, two more life, three more life. So you kind of want this one right here. If you flip that over, you got 3 more life and live to fight another day. But the bad guy can have that too. Here's that board that you saw on the mat that you keep track of your time. And on the back is the extreme horror. So if you want to play this, that's not on the mat. So you'll have to play this separate or put this on the mat. This makes it even tougher to play the game. Like, who needs that, right? And again, this is where you kind of keep track of your health, and this is where you put that token there on what's your final life on that token. You got a nice little insert in here to put all your bits and what have you. And here's all the tokens that you need. Like, there's your health tokens. There's a meeple for the killer and a meeple for you. There's your little time token in there, if you see that you keep track of the time track. Here are the victims. Hopefully they're not victims. Hopefully you save them. But there's all the victims. And then I think there's some different final girls there. Maybe those are the token. But again, if you got the meeples, you don't necessarily, you've got the miniatures, you don't necessarily need some of these meeples. Here are some other, I can't remember what these tokens are for, but you got some little tiny tokens there. And then you get, there's the dice. And as you can see here, they do number 1 to 6. But really, you're trying to get these stars. These stars are the big successes. If you roll this right here, these 2 cards here, these 2 white squares, that means you discard. You don't have to. You can discard 2 cards from your hand to create a star. So you've got options, right? If you're trying to get 2 stars, you can only roll 1 and roll one of these. Well, you can discard 2 cards and make a star. If you roll a blank, you roll a blank. And so there is dice in this game. So if you don't like dice, be forewarned. But there is some mitigation of the dice too by what some of the cards you pick and put in your hand. So these are the basic action cards you're going to get, and this is similar to what the conversation cards are in Hostage Negotiator, but you have some basic action cards, and then each one of these scenario might add in some special action cards for that location or for that killer. So for example, to walk, you'd have to roll 2 successes, and you get to move up to 2 spaces, and it costs 1 time. If you roll 1 star, you move up to 1 space, and it costs 1 time. If you don't roll any stars, you get to move up to 1 space. You lose health, and it costs 2 times. So again, you want to roll more successes because you get better results, and it's going to mess up your your strategy because you're eating up health or you're eating up a lot of time. And if whatever time you eat up is less stuff you can do, and it's less cards you can buy for the next round because you're always trying to set up and plan for your next round. So you got short rest, kind of gives you health back. Focus kind of gives you some time back potentially. Again, you have to roll successes. Weak attack, close call. This lets you like re-roll stuff. Guard makes you kind of ignore an attack from the baddie. Search, you want to get some of those items. Sprint, you might want to move fast. Improvise. Distraction, a lot of distraction in horror movies, right? Planning, this lets you set up some extra dice for the next round because you want to get more, chances for success. Furious Strike, Retaliate, Long Rest, Critical Blow. So those are the basic cards. Now, in these decks or in each of these individual films, there's going to be other cards that you'll add into the deck and will be available. And again, on these, there's a cost to these, right? So this one costs 2, time, what you have left over. This costs 3 time. So this costs 5 time, but it's good, some pretty good rest there. You get a lot of health back, but costs 5 time because, you're resting. So it's got a nice little built-in time mechanic that, you only have so much time. The bad guy's going to get up on you, and, there's going to come a point where it's too late. So this is all the stuff that you need to play the basic game, and that goes in that box there and slides in nicely into there. Let's open up. I don't know if I'm going to open what time we're at. Golly, we're already at quite a bit of time. Sorry for doing too long here. Let's go Happy Trails, because that's one of the traditional, or I think what a lot of people might buy. And again, in order to play this game, if you don't want to buy the all-in type stuff or buy the storage box or get all this other stuff, you're going to need at least the core box and one of these. And then between those two, you're done. I mean, you can play the game to your heart's content, with one location and one killer. But you do have enough to play. The rest of the stuff like the mats, I got to put those back. The mats and the minis and all the extra books and stuff, those aren't needed to play. This right here is enough to play the game, right? And you've got some more. Welcome to Camp Happy Trails, and talks a little bit of blurb about that. As it's well marketed, right? It's well, the graphics are nice. The layouts are nice. It's very easy to get into this. So here's, and this one has 2 magnetic strips, right? Because you're going to have one magnetic strip you pull off here, and there's the killer board. So there's Hans, your killer, and this is his special board. It shows off where you start off on that terror track or horror track, how much life he has. And then this track's going to go up and down, and this is going to affect, that's where you put those little small tokens. That's where you do this. But this is going to, as this goes up, I think this is kind of like his rage or something like that. But or bloodlust maybe, and as it goes up, he's going to move more. This is his movement. You see the boot here, and this is his attack. So he's going to move faster, and when he hits you, he's going to hit harder. So, and then you get some dark powers. You remember I said there was like those minor dark powers. Well, he's going to get some more dark powers too. So there's a tension that builds up here. As this track goes up, he gets much deadlier to deal with, because he's going to be moving faster, coming, tearing up, getting rid of victims and going after you. And when he gets you, he's going to be hitting you really hard. And again, you have a limited number of life in here. So this is each one of these films has their own killer board, and this is that killer. And you can mix and match, right? This doesn't have to be playing on Camp Happy Trails. You can put them in any location and vice versa. But each one of these has a board there that you can play with. And then you've got on the back here, let's flip out this here. Well, let's see what we got here first. Oh, we got his special cards here. Let's do one at a time here. So, there's a special for Laura's Eyes Only. So this is a special thing for that final girl. Let's save that. So you got a little bit of legacy stuff going on here. And for you that don't know what legacy is, well, that's kind of a game that you kind of changes over time. So here's some of his special cards. That he's got his own terror deck. As I said, that terror deck, as that advances, things get really nasty. So he's going to do bad stuff on this terror deck. Like this one, maybe he moves towards 2 victims and then attacks or something like that, or attacks in that hex. Here he moves 2, and all kinds of different stuff in there. I have to read up on the thing. But there's the terror deck, and that gets bad over time. And then you've got some final girls that come in this. There's Lori and Ryko. And again, they have, just like that one, like Paula, you're gonna get some special abilities as you rescue victims and put them on here. And then once you've done like 6 here, boom, she gets a special ability, for the rest of the game. And Ryko, she only has to rescue 5, but she's got a little bit more health. And then she's got her special ability. Then you've got some, I wonder what this is here. You've got some, this is like his one. I think maybe this is his dark power. There's like a lower and a upper. Yeah, there's lower and upper powers for him. I don't know how those work, but you have a lower and upper, and here's what they like. Here's Bloodbath. That does not look good. Here's Darker, Darkest. That does not look good. So these are, I think, maybe are their dark powers or something. Butcher, Bloodlust. I mean, these are not good. These are going to do something bad for you. Oh my God. For every victim that hands kills, +1 attack. So yeah, he's kind of building up his bloodlust there. So each of the killers are going to have an upper and lower. I think that's their dark power, I believe. And then they have their own terror deck. And then there's going to be some final girls that are added in there. And there should be minis for all these in here, if you get that. So that is that side of the equation. Let's see what's on the other side. The other side is probably going to be the location cards, the cards that are specific to the location. That's what's specific to the killer. So you flip this off here. Ooh, that popped out. Because that goes like this, because that goes like this. There we go. Let's put this over here. So here is Camp Happy Trails. So there's Happy Trails, a little bit of explanation about that and what you get in. And there's special rules. This is the special rules for, there is no special rules for Camp Happy Trails. So that's good. So, but some of these locations might have special rules. So you want to keep that together with what you got going on here. And here's Camp Happy Trail. So here's the location. Here's where you're going to be moving your meeples or your minis, depending on what you get around this camp, and this is where the bad guy's going to be moving too. So they're going to be moving around. You're going to be moving around, trying to rescue victims, and get them to places that are. I think there's like this green right here. That brings people to safety. So you're trying to pick up people and move them over here. So there's a little bit of pick up and deliver type aspect of this game. There's the kind of a deck building aspect of the game, but trying to build up your action cards. There's some dice manipulation of trying to get successes to this game, and it's all ramping up. You know, as time goes on, it's going to get tougher. So it's got this built-in AI that's going to be coming after you, all built into this format. So again, there's a lot here, and here's they're different. So there's going to be items in the cabins, items in the dock, and items in the utility shed. So you got to go to one of those locations to search to get an item, to see what items is in there. So that's a location. So each one of these is going to have a location and a killer. And let's look at some of the location-specific cards. You have this nice little, storage area here that you can put all the stuff you need for it. So this one looks like it's got some special tokens. Decent punch out there. Looks like you got a boat and a bear trap, and maybe some stairs going down or something. So you've got some special tokens that you can use in this. Here are the, this probably has some of the item cards in here. So like here's some setup. Here's some cards that go on the setup. Oh, like this is the different setup. So you'll pick one of these by random, and then that's your setup. So there's a lot of replayability here because 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 different setups. So there's 5 totally different ways that this game can be set up. It shows you where the victims are, where you start, and where the killer starts. And there's, again, 5 different ones, depending on, so you got 5 totally unique setups for the scenarios. And then you pick one, and then that's what you play for that game. Here are the different items that are going to go in those locations. On the board here, there's stuff: mysterious pills, aluminum bat, old revolver, that sounds good, knife, first aid kit, all kinds of stuff, right? It's everything that you would expect. Lucky dice, map, everything you would expect to have in a horror movie, right? And there's fireworks. That's gonna be neat. That's probably good for distraction, right? There's that bear trap. So there's your items, and each one of the locations are going to have different items. And then you got different events. These are the events that happen at that location. Fresh meat, dark water, secret tunnel. That's what these tokens are here for, that like secret tunnel and stuff. Boyfriend. So you got some different meeples that show up, on different locations. Like there's a boyfriend, there's vengeance, there's girlfriend. Clingy campers, star-crossed lovers, stubborn kids. So this is... as I said, that's as interesting. You can take up to 2 victims with you to move them around or try to get into that green spot. Here's stubborn kids, one less victim will follow you. So you only take one now. So that's really going to slow you down, these doggone stubborn kids. So as I said, this is very thematic in that regard, in that each location is going to have different stuff they throw at you. And again, with different setups, it's going to play different each time. So these are the terror cards that go with Camp Happy Trails. So, and you have a little icon there. So when you play Hans on Camp Happy Trails, you'll take his terror deck and this and put those together. If you play a different villain or killer with Camp Happy Trails, well, you'll take their terror deck and this one and put them together. And so you got a little different stuff because this has different events that come up and different things happen. You can't save us. No one can. Run for your life. So fire. Oh, there's a fire in the cabins. That can't be good. Anyway, so a lot of different stuff going on there. I'm not going to open up all these because this is already a pretty long video. But so on this, got to be careful how I put these back. So what you do here, well, let's put this on Camp Happy Trails. Boom. Right, and then over here, I can put Hans here. Boom. There you go. You got your little magnetic strip there. And there you go. So there is Final Girl for Camp Happy Trails with Hans and Camp Happy Trails. And guess what? That goes right in there. So, and then you're going to get more of these. Let's put this up like this. Looks better like that, right? They all look the same. Anal much. All right. So, I'm not going to open up all, but as I said, you're going to get a different location and different killer in each one of these. Let's open up some of these real quick here, just to show you cast and crew. And sorry for the long video, but I'm giving you a little bit of overview of the game too. So not only do you get to see what's in some of these packs, but you're getting a little bit of feel for maybe how to play this game a little bit. So see if it's something that is interest you. So this is, this is where Terror from Above will go. Here's where the minis go for that. As you can see here, there's the birds. And here's where all the minis that for this should fit into here, right? And I think there might be 2 layers of this. No, there's just one, but there's some more cards there. I think this is where you put the special cards for the characters. But hopefully all these minis can fit in there. But that's your mini storage right there. Cast and crew. That's kind of cute, isn't it? So this is an extra storage box to go in here. And then in this one here, see what we got here. This is bonus feature. I think this is where those books go. So as I said, everything has a place for it in this. If you get the big storage box, that's one reason why I kind of liked it. Here's some bonus material. So these are bonus, killer cards for, I would just probably put these in each one of the different killer decks, but there's like bonus dark powers, I think, that go with that. Here's the feature film rule book series. Once you get another rule book in here, oh, this is the one. This is where, there's special rules in each one of these sets, and this gives you the special rules all in one spot. So here's the special rules for Happy Trails. There are no special rules, but it tells you can keep track of your achievements. It talks about what components are for Happy Trails, what components are for Hans, and if there's special rules, and keep track of achievements. So this takes all like these one-off pages here, and has it all in one book, so you can keep track of it all. There's Carnival of Blood. There's that can't pronounce her name. There's Sacred Grove. There's the Poltergeist. So you can keep track of all that here. Plus, this is the place where you can put all these books as well. So if you want to put these books in here, I probably would put them back to front, so they fit in nicer. But so there you have it. So you can put all that. I'll probably end up putting these in there, but you can put all that in there. Now you got a place to put all those books, and that's a little bit heavy there too. So, and that goes right back in there as well. So there you have it. That's, I think, all I'm going to unbox, because the rest of these are going to be, this is going to deal with the Poltergeist, and what's the other one on here? Creepy Manor. This one is going to deal with, oh, what's the next one here? Oh, it popped up there. The next one here is, I can't pronounce her name, Inkayaba and Sacred Grove. That looks terrifying. And then you've got Geppetto, and I think this is the Carnival of Blood. That can't be good. And then the final one here is Dr. Fright, and that's probably on Maple Lane. Dr. Fright on Maple Lane as opposed to Nightmare on Elm Street. So, and if you look back in there a little bit, let's see if we can do that a little bit here. If you pull some of these out, you're going to see that there is a way to store them all down there. You can see kind of there's a little map on how everything can be stored back in there as well, which is pretty much the same kind of as that thing there as well. So there you have it. Went well over what I wanted to do on this, but you know, I thought you guys might want to see Final Girl. This is the kind of all-in pledge that has basically everything I think is available for it. I think the only thing, I don't know if those bird minis are out or the vehicle minis are out, but I think everything else I've got in all this stuff. Don't know if there's a place to put this. Maybe in one of those storage boxes. Let's open this up, because you've hung on this long. You might as well get to see some of the goods there, right? This is the mystery box. Pop this open here, and ooh, look at there. And we've got the mystery box rules sheet. This is how you use it. There's the different symbols, and then basically here it is. It looks kind of like the Namanamrakan or Leprechaun. I'm not great at pronouncing this stuff, but bad book. How about bad book? So yeah, that needs to be painted, right? I'm not a painter, but then you open it up and you got those two dice. So you roll these two dice. So if I roll these two, that is Sacred Grove and what is that? Oh, Hans. So that's Hans and Sacred Grove. So I would pull out those two books. I'd pull out the Hans killer stuff and the Sacred Grove location stuff, and there I go. That's what I'm going to play tonight. So kind of a neat little thing there. I'm sure like it fits somewhere in all this stuff. Let's put that, and it didn't fit too good there. Anyway, so that is the bonus box. Paula comes separate, and that's what I have for y'all. This is Final Girl, Series 1, the all-in stuff. As I said, if you like Hostage Negotiation and not Hostage Negotiator, this is more the same, but in a different theme and a different gameplay. So highly recommend it in that regard. If you're a horror fan and like all these different films and genre, then probably something you want to take a look at. If you're a solo fan, this is a great solo game. If you don't mind, a little bit of dice and card manipulation, again, something to look at. If you like all those different things, well, my God, what are you waiting for? Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thought I'd share this on a Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Sorry for taking so long, but there was a lot in this box. There is just so much, and I didn't even open it all up. Can you believe that? Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Sweet dreams. Thanks for watching.